Hello everyone, welcome to Monday Night Roundup here on Blood Bowl Live. Here to go through all of the last week's action from the ADBBL. We're into playoff world and we're still in the last 16. So we're going to bring you some games from the last 16 matches. We've only got 5 games to go through this week. So just 5 games to review. And joining me as always is Mr. Scott Bryant. Scott, hello.
Hello, Chris. Hello, sports fans.
And of course, Mr. Tom Hovell. Tom, hello.
Hello, how you doing?
Very good. Very good. Back from a run. Just about got my breath back. Pepsi in front of me. Talking about Blood Bowl. It's how I love to live. Before we dive into the games, we are going to return. I don't feel like we've been there for a few weeks, but we're going to return gracefully to Scott's Corner. Scott, what have you got for us this week?
Few things to update yourself, Chris, and yourself, Tom, and all of the ADBBL regulars about as well. First thing to bring you up to speed of, and I whisper this in hushed tones, it's coming. Merch is coming. Shh. Watch this space for more, but merch is coming. So, talking of that, what else have we got to share with us? First of all, big shout out to our international viewers led by the mighty Sir Pat van der East and everyone out there who's not this side of the Deben. A reminder to everybody as well, don't forget to support Macmillan. Yes, I will shamelessly, as soon as the merch comes in, I will be shamelessly plugging Macmillan, all its great stuff that it does and how we can support that as a community, as we always do. Not just shaving your head, not just colouring your head. If you've got some deep-rooted issues you need to speak to someone about, as if by magic, as if we scripted it, we'll talk all about those good things. Something to remind you all about, dear viewers, as well. Reminder about Aardvarks and Dragon being the pillar of our community. All things Blood Bowl wonderful. If you want to get yourself down to the store and meet the Roll Darler of Woodbridge Tabletop Gaming himself, Mr. Scott Phipps, off you go. And while you're down there, spend. Talking of all things good coming out of the Deben. Yes, not just that stuff coming out of the Deben. A reminder, Death on the Deben 2, the ADBBL tournament happening this September. Chris, are tickets still available?
I believe there are still a few places, but not many. So grab them while they're there.
Okay, so if you want to take part in that magnanimous event, get yourself down, speak to Mr. Phipps in store, speak to Mr. Coe, however you can get hold of him, pigeon, post, however, who knows. One thing, though, that I have been asked to shout out, just to remind people, as part of this year's challenge, because we have raised such an extraordinary amount of charitable donations, Mr. Scott Phipps will be playing his most favourite, bestest, lovedest team in the whole wide world. Yes, he's going to be paying elves. Yes, they're going to be Elven Union. And yes, he's going to be building them and painting them pink and sparkly as all proper elves should be. So what Mr. Scott Phipps has requested from you, the wonderful ADBBL audience, is please by Thursday of this week. So if you're watching this on YouTube anytime after the 25th, please don't call us or your vote may not be valid and you might spend money and whatever other terms and conditions they say on the TV. But by Thursday, if we can put on Discord any ideas of what you want his team to look like, whether it's just all linemen, whether it's with one weather mage, whether it's with absolute no star players, it's up for us, the audience, to decide. So get your feedback onto Discord by Thursday. Otherwise, myself and Chris will just make it up with Tom's input as well. Tom will be sunning himself, getting pink on holiday anyway, so he won't really. His interest will be he will just be performing the role of an elf for the next couple of weeks, pink and sunny. So that's it really from me. Just a reminder about all things ADBBL. So even if your name is Joe and you find you'll have some free time on your hands from this November, even if you forget a few things there, Joe, welcome to the flock of forgetfulness that is Blood Bowl. Get yourself down, get a few games in as well. And without further idiocy and waffling, should we go to the first match?
Sounds great. We'll dive straight in. I will quickly say that just last week, I think it was just last week, or maybe even early this week, I had a notification from Just Giving saying that our previous page had run its course and was closed, and you can no longer donate to that one. So, to give a final total on that, £581 is what was raised for Suffolk Mine.
Woohoo!
Over 700 if you include gift aid, which is a fantastic amount that we've raised there. So a huge thank you to
Well
everyone
done.
who donated. It's phenomenal. So thank you very much.
Beautiful, well done, guys.
So yeah, let's dive in then. Let's start talking about some games from this week, and we start with the game that we did kind of touch on. But we couldn't finish because they haven't finished. They had to stop at halftime, or at full time even, and play extra time another day. And that is the Gilded Knights of Cerulean versus the Inglorious Pustards. A 2-1 win then in extra time for the Gilded Knights. Touchdown coming at the very end there for a 2-1 win to take them through. I mean, it's good to see how close some of these games are. A lot of games going to extra time, so things are clearly very even. This went the way that a lot of extra time games do. It went with the person who received the ball, which was Phil. Managed to keep hold of that. Comes out of it with 5 casualties as well and 20 SPPs, so a very good amount to go into the next round with. What I will go straight into, and Tom, I'll come to you first. How I guess the negative kind of for Phil after this game, not only the fact he's now got to play me for a third time, that's a negative in itself, but the fact that he is now going to be 2 blood seekers down in this team, that leaves him with only the 3 players of strength 4 and above, and also 2 of his more armored players out. How much is that gonna hurt him in the next round? He's got a lot of skills on everyone else, but to be down those 2 strength 4s, is that going to be a big hindrance?
Yeah, potentially. Yeah, because he's still got the other 2, hasn't he? So he's still got 2 strength 4s and a strength 5 Bloodspawn in the team.
Yeah.
Which ironically, the Bloodspawn has big hand, so it's quite good at catching stuff. So yeah, it looks like it was an interesting match, because I was about to say because it's the first time we've seen a giant this season. So
yeah.
So we had a giant on the Inglorious Pustards side, but in fact, I was about to say he didn't really play much of a game really, because he didn't show at all during normal time, and only came into action in the extra time, causing said injury on one of those Bloodseekers. And in fact, I'm right in saying that both Bloodseekers were out in extra time, so they actually survived through the full time on that side of things. So it looked like it was an interesting game, because I was looking through it and watching it while I was playing my game, and there was a couple of interesting things. So first of all, it was a blizzard, so it's never fun when it's a blizzard, so there was clearly going to be no sprinting down the pitch or goes for it. And it looked like the Gilded Knights started off quite well, actually, with turns 6, causing 2 deaths on against Nurgle, and then but equally getting 1-0 down, but then very rapidly coming straight back and within 3 turns, getting 4 turns, sorry, getting a touchdown to equal it 1-1, and then it was a bit of a punch up all the way through to the full whistle at full time, but then clearly the Nurgle team got a few talking to and started causing problems in extra time. But great game from both of them. It's probably the longest match on tour play so this week or this month.
It's an interesting matchup. Looking at 2 of the rosters here, both teams have we find this in Blood Bowl, where there will be kind of teams that have very similar styles of roster. Amazons and Norse, as an example, kind of very similar in the kind of the way that the positionals are set up. And we've got similar here with the Bloodseekers compared to the Bloaters, the Corn Gores compared to the Pestigores. in as far as what you can take, there's not a lot between them. There's kind of the differences. You've got kind of the frenzy on one side, and you've got the disturbing presence on the other. You've got but they're very similar setups. Scott, would you think that one would kind of, are they kind of very similarly matched up, or is there one that you think on paper between the Khorne and the Nurgle side is more of the kind of threat?
On paper, I would have. My initial thoughts on that, Chris, would be towards Phil. However, because Phil has, if you look at it, he went in, he had, 4 strength 4 players in his Bloodseekers. Tom's mentioned he's lost one as well. He's had more he selected and chosen more of his skills. If you look at versus Nick, and of course he's had 3 very important re-rolls in there. Nick, just want to shout out and off the cap to Nick. Nick has played this season incredibly amazingly. No re-rolls. We know what Nick thinks of re-roll, but to put a giant on the table, that's a thing of beauty. That's why we all played Blood Bowl anyway, just for moments like that. I think it was looking like it, but one of those, Nick, you just went, as you should do with Nurgle, randomized the mutations, and he's got it very, very well indeed. So, yes, they are pretty similar. One is obviously blood for the blood god, one is for Papa Nurgle. They are pretty mirror images of them both. So, always thought it was going to be a very chaotic match, no pun intended. But yeah, it was eventually, a good win for Phil. He did grind it out. Does he go into the next match with a bit of a bitter pill there? And I think he does. He has 11 players, so he's got those. He's got his full quota. Sorry, his minimum quota. He's only got 50k in the kitty, so he can't really spend that. And then looking at his opponent, you've got 300k up your sleeve in terms of inducements, Mr. Co. And you just throw things around the pitch anyway. So as long as you stay away and you survive his 1 blitz per turn, thank you very much. I am going to put the mockers on you, but I'll whisper it quietly. I think it's there. I think it's there for the New York Rangers, Ducks, whatever they call this week.
Wrong bird.
Have you rebranded them in the last 5 minutes? I don't know.
Not yet. It's pending sign off. I think Phil's probably still got a even with those 2 strength guys out. The mutations on some of those Khorne Gores are going to come in very handy. And then he's got block on one Bloodseeker and claws. He's got horns. He's got several things there. He's got horns on quite a few players there that will give him a boost when he doesn't have those 2 strength 4s. So could be an interesting game. And like you said, a huge shout out to Nick. Playing the Nurgle game, randomizing all the mutations, and taking no rerolls all season is a very ballsy way to go about it. And actually, when you look at Nick's results, none of them were sort of absolute walkovers. He put up a hell of a fight in every single game. I think, that shows how close it was against Phil here. So well done to Nick, and well done to Phil for getting through to the next round as well. We will go to the next game, which is a game that we've seen over the last few seasons many, many times, I feel. Dwarves versus Goblins. And it was Jamie's World's Edge Berserkers versus the Flamingos. I know that Scott himself is in the chat, and I'm sure it's going to give us some thoughts on this one. Playing Jamie yet again, they've played each other so much in group stages and things like that. It's been a regular fixture that we've seen quite a lot of. And a 1-0 win in regular time for the Dwarfs here. But you look at things like, you look at the casualty count, you look at the fact that it was only 1-0, and this is a Dwarf team that knows how to score. So a nice kind of tight game here, which was good. Scott, I've got Jamie pegged as as kind of a secret assassin here who could go quite far. Putting in a sort of modest performance here, but he's put in what he needed to.
I think he actually, Scott made him earn this one. I know the Flamingos could have scored, I think it was turn 15 or 16, but they didn't quite get the dice rolls that they wanted to get that equalising touchdown and force extra time. Yeah, 5 casualties for the World's Edge Berserkers. We've seen Jamie absolutely roll over, no pun intended, but roll over with his death roller a lot of squishy stunty teams this year. And again, Scott just proves he's such a good coach. He knows how to get the best out of these goblins, and he almost took it to extra time. And then who knows if you receive the ball? Who knows? So shout out to both coaches on that. Just before I do, your heart for the goblins, absolutely, Carl. I don't know if Mr. Norman wanted to say something in chat. He's gone very quiet, which is usually an ominous sign.
Oh yes.
I thought, here we go. Would you like to do the honors then, Chris?
I'll read through. So Scott's thoughts: the dwarfs were so leveled up. Guard, mighty blow, tackle. Turned off nearly all of Scott's skills. Went down swinging. So happy with that. If Jamie hadn't knocked my ball carrier off the pitch on turn 15, breaking through my size cage, it would hit extra time. That's it for the goblins and flamingos. But I took the dwarfs toe to toe and feel I did Jamie's next opponent a favor. Great game throughout. And yeah, looking at the casualties, a troll slayer missed next game and a dwarf runner missed next game. A troll slayer with mighty blow, a dwarf runner with block, and Jamie does have another runner, no skills on that other runner, and can only take one troll slayer. So even though he's got a massive treasury, he can't replace it. So yeah, a bit of a blow, Tom, to Jamie's side, but like Scott has just said, so many skills in this dwarf team to get him through.
Absolutely, and like you say, it's given one of the two, or shall I say, probably the two most seasoned players, be it David or Justin, a little favour there by getting a mighty blow troll slayer out, as well as the dwarf runner with block. So yeah, it's going to be an interesting one there. It looked like it was a fun game. So there was a bit of no holds bar with lots of fouling going on straight from the outset. Nice set of casualties, which kind of turned the table by the looks of things to start off with, where the goblins were actually causing casualties rather than the other way around. But then obviously they clearly started up the death roller and started mowing down the green ones as quickly as possible. So it looked like it was clearly a fun game on both sides.
I have a question for you both, gents.
Yep.
If you are Jamie, and we know he did ridiculously well with these dwarfs next year, and he's really carried that momentum from season 6 into season 7, you're at a point now, you're going into the quarterfinals, you have 9 players. Yes, we've talked about the Troll Slayer. You've got 345k. Do you get rid of that Troll Slayer and buy 2 new Troll Slayers? Because you can have 2, of course, on your team. Or do you maybe get another Troll Slayer fresh out the box, fresh off the bench, and a Dwarf Runner? What would you do with that money, Chris?
I don't think I think I would wait to see my opponent. He's maxed out on positionals anyway. I would maybe see what the team value is of my opponent. But it's one thing that I would take kind of note of is, of all the teams where you may end up in a position to have to take some journeymen if you don't have enough, and you don't want to spend your treasury just in case you want to be prepared to replace the death roller or anything like that. Of all the teams for that to happen to, he's taking journeymen that come with block tackle. Now, if Justin gets through and he's facing halflings, he's going to be laughing. He's probably not going to miss that troll slayer. So yeah, I think of all of the teams you could have, I don't know how worried I would be if I was Jamie about wanting to bring that troll slayer back. Maybe if you get Dave instead with those shambling and those 2 mummies, maybe having something to be able to having the mighty blow and the dauntless could help there. But I don't know if I'd be too worried. Tom, what do you think?
Yeah, I think he's got still got a good base of quite tricky players there. You know, he's got mighty blow on most players in this team. And a bit like what Chris says, you know, he's not really going to miss those Troll Slayer if he's playing against halflings. I suppose if they're, so the only thing is if he's throwing halflings over the top of them, it's a bit frustrating to actually get all the way back.
Yeah.
But yeah, what's he got? He's going to take. He's a 1185, and the other two are. Let's have a quick look. The two are team value 1410 with Death Star Belgravia and 990 with the halflings. So you know that the halflings are going to probably bring Cindy to try and cause some problems and cause some upsets. And Death Star Belgrave aren't really going to have aren't really going to have much to take along. So pretty even, I think.
Just one thing, guys, that Mr. Scott Norman has put in. This is breaking news, so an exclusive we can reveal on tonight's ADBBL Monday Night Roundup. Mr. Scott Norman has declared next season going one better. He is going Titchy. Oh. And he says it is possible to field a Titchy team that's cash team value on a day is 0.
I've played against that team in sevens, and I don't like it. I don't like it. It is not. It is scary stuff. It is not. It's terrifying. Good luck to Jamie in the next round. Scott, we look forward to seeing what monstrosity you bring next season. Been a pleasure as always. We will go on to the next game, which is the Buffalo Biggins versus the Toxin Runners, a 2-0 victory for Harrison's Buffalo Biggins. Harrison, we all know how I will happily support Harrison, and you know, I'm his biggest fan. You know, he was so close, you know, only just missed out of the top bracket, and I think he's got a very good chance in this lower conference. And having played Skaven twice this season, you know, he clearly knew what he was doing here. And you have to feel for Graham. I feel like if I were to look through the previous season with the Toxic Runners and this season and count just how many casualties Graham has had against him, it would be unreal. I mean, 8 in this game, and we've seen this season being annihilated by other teams as well. Scott, a bit of a battering physically here, and a lot of SPP for Harrison.
Yeah, I think, we said Harrison started the season a bit slow, but he's really now sort of getting the momentum behind him. He did miss out on the championship playoffs. But hey, Harrison, the conference, this is where all the cool kids hang out. I think Harrison should come with a health warning for squishy teams and stunty teams as well, because you're absolutely right. When he beats you, he absolutely beats you 6 feet under. Matches, he's beaten Jamie's dwarf team. Let's not forget that, and he beat him 4-1. So Graham, and the way Graham plays, which is a nice bit of Skaven anarchy tucked in there as well, it can be really, really effective and disruptive on its day. However, he's come up against Harrison. He's come up against the Orcs. Yeah, okay. He's taken Creek and I'll be back. He's taken the Mighty Squirrel, who we all love to see. But even with those guys involved there as well, it just wasn't enough. And then as soon as you get a casualty against the Orcs, and as soon as you lose one lineman, you're a player down. And okay, Creek will get you the occasional casualty as well, but some of those Orcs, particularly the big one blockers, they're looking very terrifying at the moment. You know, Block Guard, Mighty Blow. Yeah, okay, you got a random armbar. Yeah, we've always got one in the family, haven't we? But he's looking very good as well. So yeah, Harrison's going to be one to watch out for that conference title.
Yeah, absolutely. I think if you ever get an infestation and need a rent-a-kill, you need to bring in these guys, because literally the first four turns he was knocking them off the pitch left, right, and centre. Those rats didn't really stand a chance. I know even with Krieg on the pitch, and causing an injury. It still was literally turn 1 injury, turn 2 injury, turn 3 injury, turn 4 injury. So we've a -1 on a passing on a gutter runner, which really isn't an issue, is it? But yes, it did look like there was absolute slaughter happening on this pitch.
Graham's commented in chat as well. He's saying both superstars failed him on their first activations. Good old Krieg failed Dauntless. I'm assuming that is going to be Acorn, not Krieg. And Krieg, good old ball and chain on his head. Wonderful. That's what you want every rat ogre to do, really, don't you? Reminder, just also chat. Reminder that Mr. Graham is being incredibly generous with his time and effort. This Saturday, get your team down to A&D. So if you want to have your team captured forever in a moment of beautiful history, have your official team photo, have your individual star players immortalized in 2D. Pop along for a suitable donation. Graham is taking photos of everyone's team, star players, whether they are this season's team, last season's team, or just some random team you found wandering aimlessly on the street. Bring them along to A&D. We'll raise a bit more money for Macmillan as well. Chris, what did you think? Or are you just too happy for Harrison?
Well, I am pleased for Harrison because
you sound like a proud uncle, Chris. You sound like a proud uncle.
I've played Harrison. I've only played Harrison twice. They're always very enjoyable games. He's a very good sport to play against. And there's a possible semi-final, conference semi-final game if he can get past Elliot and if I can get past Phil. So I would, and I'd like that would be good fun. And I think we've seen that. I feel for Graham because, like we've said a few times, when he plays well and when not necessarily the luck doesn't have to not be on the opponent's side, just when he doesn't have the horrendous luck that he gets quite so often, he does things like beats Jamie 4-0. You know, he gets results. He gets really good games. And then it seems that just when things start to fail for him, they fail so badly. It very much feels like it's all or nothing. And so I'm very much hoping that we see a Graham season, maybe next season, where it's just where the all outweighs the nothing, because I think he absolutely deserves it. Well done, Graham, for a great season. And like Scott said, if you want to get a photo of your team, I won't be about this weekend, unfortunately, to witness it, but I may be leaving my team with someone or teams and see how many pictures of them I can get so that I don't miss out on the opportunity. But so thank you for that. And well done, Harrison. Good luck in the next round. Very much hoping to see you in the semi-final. We will go on to our penultimate game. Just looking in the chat, Phil, many apologies. Yes, we did do your game first, but stay with us. We've got two other games to talk about anyway. And we go from one brother to another. We go from Harrison to Elliot, both playing Skaven, both coming out with a win. And Elliot wasn't necessarily confident going into this game. Because he said that he had never beaten. This is the first time he had ever beaten a Skaven side, Carl did not make it easy for him at all. It definitely did not make it easy. Came back with a sort of touchdown quite late on, and not giving Elliot much time at all to take the win. Elliot getting many casualties and lots of SPP on the way, which will be good. I think maybe this team we could see again. I think the werewolves and some of the skills he's getting on these positionals mean we could see them again. So that extra SPP that he's got there, some of these players with lots of SPP in the bank waiting to see what he'll do with them. Tom, a Necro coach yourself. The thing that I like about Necro is the speed on some of those players, the werewolves with movement 8. Does that mean you don't have to worry quite so much about those gutter runners? Because while you're slower than them compared to most teams, you're not much slower at all. So does that kind of give you some confidence?
Yeah, exactly that. Because let's be honest, you've got movement 8 on those werewolves with strength 3 and frenzy plus claws, but claws ain't going to do. It means nothing with the Skaven. So he was clearly fielding them just to go run around, taking out the gutter runners or targeting the gutter runners on that side of things. But then likewise, the Skaven team was doing exactly the same and targeting the ghoul runners. So that straight away on turn 4. A ghoul runner is out by Skitter Stab. That a new star player we haven't seen that often. And then amazingly, a flesh golem actually scores. So that must have been a high score.
It was. Can I just say on that point, if you can go back, sports fans, because we are now back streaming, and it's worth watching that. So it was a really interesting moment. So Elliot had the golem for some reason halfway into Carl's half. It was on the other side of the pitch. The werewolf had to come over. He had to dodge into the tackle zone, pick up the ball, throw it, got it on the catch. Okay, they forgot the interception, but it would have failed anyway. And the golem had to rush for it as well to get in there. So it really was from one side of the pitch to the other to get the ball and then hoof it down. Flesh golem, imagine the scene, leaping, like rising from the depths to pluck that ball out of the air to run it in as well. And I think it shocked Elliot as much as it shocked everybody as well. Carl sounded as excited as someone who's got a good Christmas present. He wasn't expecting, he was excited as that sort of, it was great.
I'm just reading in the chat. Werewolf picked it up in a tackle zone, threw it 13 squares to the golem to catch. So that's going to be a 4-up pickup, followed by, it's got to be a 6-up pass.
6-up throw and a 6-up catch.
Is it a 6-up catch?
No, he was accurate, wasn't it? So, it was, I believe it was 4 catch because he was accurate.
Incredible. I mean, interesting that, I guess looking at the when this happened, it happened on turn 8. Your flesh golem's the only person down there. I guess why wouldn't you? Because I'm assuming at that point there were no gutter runners in kind of positions to cause him pain if it was wildly inaccurate.
I watched the match because I had a bit of time on. So I was watching the match in the background, and Elliot, of course, he's got his scars from Skaven this year. He's had some, challenging matches against the Rats. Plus, as well, Carl decided to bring Skitter onto the pitch, and having a gutter runner who can just walk up and stab you is never a pleasant thing. And if you watch the start of this match as well, so Elliot was receiving, and he played the classic anchor defense or boat defense, whatever you call it. And I looked at that and I thought, he was just inviting Carl, who did admirably well as a Skaven coach. I couldn't have resisted, but he resisted going for a quick 2-turn touchdown. Get the ball, pile it, get down the flanks, and set yourself up for your 2-turn touchdown. So he did resist, but then Elliot really pressured him. But every time it felt that Elliot was just going to build momentum and put some plays together, Skaven came in, with some Skaven shenanigans, upset it. But then Carl seemed to couldn't manage to get the ball, pick up the ball, do the extra rush and to continue his momentum. So it was very, very back and forth. And that sort of was epitomized by that 6-up throw and a catch as well for the Golem score. It was like just YOLO, and then whatever will be, will be. And it turned out great. So it was a really good. But then again, just as he thought then maybe Elliot was pushing for the win, Carl comes back, and then all of a sudden, out of blue, as we know Skaven can do, it's 1-1. And before you know it, again, another match with extra time. I did think that this was going to go to roll off, like a lot of ours have been as well. Good evening, Mr. Reader, as well, coming back from his international adventures. Just so he popped up in chat. Always like to give Mr. John Reader a shout out. So yeah, it was a very, very good match. And then Elliot, managed to sort of get through the extra time to get that second touchdown.
And also he also got an extra lineman for all that hard work as well.
He did get nice resurrection. But again, just a shout out to Carl as well. Skaven in his first season. It seems to be that both Skaven teams have had an incredible amount of casualties this year. I think maybe that's something we'd have to set Tom a task and find out who's had the most casualties between our Skaven coaches for season 7.
Look,
He'll have a look. Yeah, well done to Carl. First season, you have to say, looking at the group he was in, I mean, as someone who's in their sort of 5th season, if I'm drawn in a group with Dave Roos, Scott Norman, and Harrison, I would fear for my safety. So absolutely a trial by fire. So well done for ploughing through, and taking someone like Elliot into extra time in the playoffs is no sort of easy feat as well. So well done for a good season. I look forward to seeing what you do next season with this team. And well done to Elliot for progressing, joining us in our little sibling bubble at the bottom of the conference. We'll see see which brother plays which brother as we go along. So,
and to answer that question, it was Toxic Runners 33, Plague Brigade 25. So
not a good season to be a rat.
No, the only other team in the most injured top 5 is it's the same. All 3 are the same rank. What do you think it is?
Gnomes. It'll be gnomes, right?
Yeah, correct. Yeah. So there was one gnome team, so Honkington's Folly, has actually got less casualties than both of the Skaven teams.
Incredible. Not a good season to be a gnome or a rat. There we are. An animal lover. Not a good season for an animal lover. We will go to our last game then of the week, which is the Wildermere Wasps versus the Golden Oldies. This game, both coaches decided to end the game on turn 16. They didn't have the time to play extra time and play another half, but they were both happy to end the game on a roll-off. So they rolled off in the shop, and the roll-off was very close, but did go 3-2 in favour of the Black Orcs, sneaking through to the next round of the conference. I mean, that's old world. For all that I hate old world, they're certainly giving us extra game time. 2 old world teams going to extra time this season. Tom, I don't like old world. I think there must be something to them. There must be something good about them. It's just I can't see it. The meta seems to think it's there. I don't think it's there. We had 2 coaches here who hadn't played a lot of Blood Bowl coming into it, either for a while or because they were more new to the game, and giving us a good battle in this kind of last stretch here, in what appeared to be quite a tight game.
Yeah, absolutely. Both of the teams, I've played the Black Orc team, and although you got a lot of bash in that team, you haven't got a lot of movement. And just kind of looking at the Golden Oldies, they have got quite a lot of dwarfs in their team. So again, it wasn't a fast-paced team either side by the looks of things. Yeah, so you've also got a trained troll with a minus movement as well, and one of the Black Orcs has got a minus movement. I don't know if that was I didn't believe that was even got this game, but it was obviously in the first half. So it's one of those interesting matchups, and well played for both these players who are, as you say, potentially new to the game. It's one of those kind of matches that could have gone either way. You could not really have predicted which one would have come out the winner. It's a shame it ends off in a roll-off, and if you're interested in knowing other ways you could end your matches, please go to the latest episode of New Dice Please to find out how we think they could be done.
What a beautiful plug.
Perfect segue there. Yeah, exactly. But yeah, well done to both players, and good luck.
Scott, Simon going through here with his Black Orcs, looking at what let's have a look at what Simon's conference looks like after this, after that Black Orc win. It's looking like it's going to be either vampires or gnomes. On paper, either a hopefully easy game or a very difficult game. Looking at Simon's team, what I quite like about it is how he has stuck by some rather nasty looking stat busted players, kept them in the side, plowed on through, and that seems fine, which I think is quite good.
Yeah, I think Simon's had a really good first season in his rookie. He came very close, as we know, to being promoted straight out of his league as well. And again, that wasn't an easy league as well. He's done very well. The train troll is there, isn't it, for one thing, just punching on the line and then throwing goblins all over the place as well. What more do you want? He's got a good balance there as well. A couple with block as well. Stand firm is always good. Plus, of course, he's got his two defensive Goblin Bruiser linesmen sitting there. So they're always going to be a thorn in the side to any player with guard. He's done well. He really has indeed. It's been a difficult year, as we said, for the Gnomes. First season really in the meta. So yeah, good. Yeah. Unfortunately, it needs to get down to a roll off. And as Tom shamelessly plugged the New Dice Please podcast, I think this definitely would be a match to be resolved through the medium of dance. I think this is desperately crying out for this particular match as well.
Now, I don't know what the plan will be for this Old World Alliance team. If it was me, I would be putting them in the bin. But looking at some of the skills on this team, block and pro on a lineman, strip ball on a lineman, a blodging diving tackle catcher is a pretty handy thing to have as well. A few stat busts in there, but nothing that's probably really too horrendous. Movement on a blitz is not ideal. Would you two be looking at this team as one that you would keep for next season, or do you think this team has probably had its time? How would you be looking at this?
I think for me, it was one of those kind of interesting kind of teams where you could potentially trial out either a human team or a dwarf team. So it gives you both the kind of idea of where you feel you're most comfortable with. So, I've played humans. I haven't played dwarves. It looks like he's been playing them well. So maybe he packs the Old World Alliance in and goes for a dwarf team next.
Scott?
Don't really do anything for me, if I'm honest with you. I think OWA, very Marmite. You either love them or you don't. I haven't seen anything from them this season to make me want to rush out and get an OWA team and think, yeah, I've got to chase that meta.
I couldn't agree more. Well done,
but just in the fine impartial way we are in ADBBR. Yeah, for all OWA coaches, well done. Keep up the good work. You're the best. You can do it. Believe in yourself.
Yeah. We hope you go all the way, Chris, with your team.
I don't. Well done to Jack for a great first season with us.
Well done, Jack.
Brought a team that he'd had for a long time, came in and has had some tough. Again, had a very tough group, very much a trial by fire, and the feedback that I've heard from other coaches in his group is that Jack's a very good coach. So I think we'll only go better from there. And well done for Simon. First season with us in the ADBL, first season playing Blood Bowl, and he's through to the quarterfinals of his playoff. So well done to you. Good luck in the next round. So that is all of our games that we are going through. As you can see, there are a handful of games that are being played this week. We've got Norse versus Lizards coming up on Thursday. We've got Chaos Chosen versus Ogres, which will be played tomorrow. We've got Dead Star. We've got Shambling Undead versus Halflings. That is also coming in on Thursday. We've got a couple of games that are just to be confirmed at the moment as to whether they'll be going ahead or not. Necromantic Harrow versus Humans and Vampires versus Gnomes. We will let you know what the results of those are if we have to admin them or if they're going to be played. We'll keep you updated on those. So before we vanish, then. Game of the week, gentlemen. What do we think our game of the week is? I'm a bit torn. I think we've had a lot of very solid, very interesting games here. I'm probably leaning towards Necromantic Horror versus Skaven for that insane throw. That's probably clinching it for me. What do you guys think?
I'm going to go for Phil and his Knights versus Nick and his Pastards, purely because Nick had a giant on the tabletop. And I think it's just a shout out to anybody who puts a giant on the tabletop. I think it's a thing of beauty for Blood Bowl. So well done, Nick. And
I'm going to go for Harrison with the just complete annihilation of practically every turn from start of 4 turns of just taking players out. It must have been a horrific to watch.
3 different games, and normally we have some level of agreement, but no agreement this time. All different games. What about player of the week? I'm going to give my player of the week to a flesh golem that can catch a ball and score a touchdown. I've got to do it. What do you guys think?
We're going to agree on the flesh golem there, Chris, just to upset you.
Yeah, I have to say that is just outrageous. Just to just throw it 13 squares and a flesh golem to catch it and walk it in. Very impressive.
Is it worthy of a bounty? Is it worthy of our bounty of the week as well?
Ooh, he's got block on that one and 9 SPP. So
you could put a bounty on, but I think where Tom's going is good luck trying to get that.
Exactly, because again, we've been trying to get that one of his werewolves out, like most of the actual season, and unfortunately, no luck.
Well, thank you very much, gentlemen. That is all of our games for the week. Thank you, everyone, for sticking around and listening to us. Live games this week, I'm not sure which ones we'll bring you. 50-50 on whether we bring you one tomorrow, and then whether we bring you one over the weekend, I don't know. I'm away for the weekend, so it will be what we can set up in the meantime. But we'll try and bring you some live stuff. If we don't, then there's always the podcast. You can listen to that. That comes out every Thursday. So catch that on Thursday. That'll still be there. And if we don't have anything until then we'll obviously be back live this time next week with some of these games, possibly even some games from the quarterfinals as well. You never know. So thank you, everyone, for being here. Thank you very much, Scott.
Thank you, Chris.
Thank you very much, Tom.
Thank you very much.
And we will catch you next time.